Batman 2022 is beautiful and full of amazing moments. When Batman wakes up in the precinct is one of my favourite moments in any Batman movie ever. Any scene with Alfred is great. The acting is top-notch. The cinematography is top-notch. But I feel when you put these characters and this plot under a microscope, you find that the great acting and the great cinematography is just a thin surface level veneer to hide the fact that there's no real substance to either its characters or its plot, and basically is just a surface level comic book movie like a generic Marvel movie is. Matt Reeves, the director and the co-writer, says,
"The Riddler doesn't have a problem with that line, he crosses it, but Batman comes dangerously close to crossing that line, and it's because he's not fully in control."
But if we look for instances where the Batman comes close to crossing the line, we get this moment at the beginning where he hits Nameless Goon number 246 a little bit too hard. And there's this moment at the end where he nearly kills Nameless Goon 720. And even then, the film uses the excuse that he was taking some sort of adrenaline or liquid cocaine or whatever the fuck was in that vial. These, to me, are very cheap and easy moments. The audience has no connection to these nameless goons, and the movie also goes out of its way to tell us that they're awful people. Those goons at the beginning were going to mug that guy, and those goons at the end were like, you know, alt-right gun nuts who are going to shoot up a political rally. Like, I don't really care if these people get beaten the shit out of. It makes Batman's anger feel hollow, or at the very least, incredibly overstated. I found it especially disappointing, considering they do have perfect moment to show us Batman becoming out of control and nearly crossing the line. There's a bit where Alfred tells Batman that he believes Falcone, a minor antagonist, is the one responsible for Batman's parents' murder.
It was Falcone. Oh, I wish I knew for sure.
If ever there was a moment to display this Batman's anger and how he is prepared or comes close to crossing the line, it would be now. But Batman just becomes a generic superhero with a heart of gold and has to be the one to stop Catwoman from killing Falcone.
Come on, Vengeance. Let's go kill that son of a bitch. This creep too, let's finish this.
No. We'll get him. But not that way.
But Batman comes dangerously close to crossing that line.
No.
Falcone killed his parents, nearly kills Catwoman, which is by all accounts one of the only persons on this planet he's ever had any connection to. And Batman just stoically takes all this like someone who is fully in control and someone who isn't even vaguely coming close to crossing that line. And it makes Batman's dark, emo energy feel fake to me. It makes his emo-ness feel like something he consciously chose to be rather than something he subconsciously became as a result of his actions. When it comes down to it, he blindly chooses good. He clearly knows he's on the good side. He belongs in that world. So why is Batman so dark and moody when it never manifests in any meaningful way? If it is just for the aesthetics of having an emo Batman, then that's beyond shallow, and it means that most of this movie's 3-hour runtime is just wallowing in sadness for the sake of it. Essentially, it's sad porn. I find it safe and thematically boring, kind of like a Marvel movie, but wrapped in a black noir trench coat. And I'm not dissing Marvel movies, I like a lot of Marvel movies, but Marvel movies know exactly what they are and they never try to be anything more than what they are.
Like, does it just come out of your wrists, or does it come out of anywhere else?
Only the wrists.
The Batman feels to me like it's trying to be as morally complex as something like Seven is, or at least appear to be as morally complex as Seven.
Hey man, I'm sorry. They pissed me off.
Films, and by extension the characters that inhabit them, exist to teach us about life. This Batman teaches people that you can be as moody, angry and antisocial as you like, and you'll still be showered with love, not only by your friends, but also random people that you force into giving you information, and B, when push comes to shove, you can just turn these angry, antisocial feelings off like a switch.
No.
considering the demographics that this movie appeals to, I find this to be incredibly unhelpful and maybe in some cases even destructive advice. It makes it almost a shame that this movie is so well shot and acted. It's like sugarcoating a cyanide pill. The filmmakers don't care about the message of their movie, just that it looks like a movie with a deep and profound message. Near the 1 hour and 40-minute mark, Batman meets up with Falcone. Falcone tells Batman that back in the day, a journalist had some dirt on Bruce's mother. So Bruce's father, Thomas Wayne, asked Falcone to,
Carmine, I want you to put the fear of God in this guy. And when fear isn't enough, no. Your father wanted me to handle it, so I did. I handled it.
Now this is good. It makes Bruce look and feel like the spoiled rich kid that he is, and should in turn force some self-reflection and change in Bruce's character. And maybe, just maybe, it would have, but the very next scene is Bruce doing the equivalent of running to Daddy for validation. He visits Alfred in the hospital, and Alfred tells him that this is all bullshit and that Thomas didn't think Falcone would kill the man, and when he found out that Falcone did kill the man, he was distraught and planned to go to the police and confess everything. This gives Batman a convenient get-out-of-jail-free card. He has all the comfort he needs and goes out there and keeps doing the exact same shtick that has gotten him fucking nowhere, by the way, for the past 2 hours. In my opinion, it would have been great if the writers either killed off Alfred in the explosion or just kept him in a coma. Then Bruce would have to face this revelation alone, and we could have a scene where Bruce is wrestling with what Falcone told him, ultimately realizing that even if Falcone is telling the truth and Thomas Wayne, Bruce's father, really wasn't a good man, that doesn't mean that Bruce can't choose to be a good man. Or we could see him go to Catwoman for comfort, seeing as she's the one who doesn't already have a relationship with Batman prior to the film starting. That way we could have not only have developed Bruce's character, but also developed the relationship between Batman and Catwoman, as they actually share something personal between them, or at least Batman shares something personal about himself to Catwoman, which is something that never fucking happens in this movie. He doesn't need to reveal his identity to her, just explain that he feels betrayed and he feels like everything he's known up until now is a lie. And if they had done that, then there would have been trust both ways between Batman and Catwoman. As it is, Catwoman has literally no reason to trust Batman at all, except for the fact that he's going after the same people that she is. There's this moment where Batman stops her from killing Falcone because
He has to pay!
You don't have to pay with him. You paid enough.
which is a fine moment, sure, and it's very well directed, very well acted, very well shot, but why the fuck does Catwoman listen to him? Catwoman is Falcone's daughter, and when her mother died in the Penguin's underground sex club, it's a lot, I know, social services came to take Catwoman away, and Falcone didn't do dick about it. On top of that, Falcone is responsible for killing her friend Annika, strangling her, in fact. And she chooses to listen to Batman, someone she's known for less than a few days, hasn't told her anything about himself, is literally hiding behind a fucking mask, only seems to be interested in talking to her when he needs help to catch bad guys.
Compromising yourself for money? What'd you have to do to set up that score? How close did you have to get? To Penguin? To Falcone?
You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Falcone owes me that money.
He owes you?
Yeah, and a lot more.
No, really. Why's that?
You know what? I can't even talk to you.
No.
This makes Catwoman look like a chump. She goes from being fiercely independent, like a cat, to being easily swayed by an edgelord who has treated her with nothing but disrespect and apathy. It again speaks to a follow-through issue the writers have. They want Catwoman to be this strong, independent character, but don't want to deal with the fact that if she was this strong and independent character that they make her look, she would have shot this fool in the face when she had the easy opportunity to. That would have been great if Batman gets there and finds he's too late to stop her, or finds that he can't stop her and she kills Falcone, because then Batman would have to learn that in order to get people to trust him, he needs to open up. He can't just give people literally nothing and expect the kind of blind trust that he gets from Alfred. The Riddler is also in this movie, but he only gets one proper scene throughout the whole movie, and most of that scene is just him singing Ave Maria. Batman's villains have always been much more interesting than Batman himself. As Matt Reeves says, Batman is stuck at 10.
He's very naive in a way. Again, it's like he's 10. In certain ways, he's stuck.
He's a man-child who refuses to grow up, which really is not that interesting. The Riddler is interesting, but this movie has no interest in dissecting a character that is that morally grey. They would rather just label the Riddler crazy.
You're out of your goddamn mind.
It's dismissive to call him a lunatic. Don't make that mistake.
Which is fine, again, especially for a superhero movie. Marvel movies do this all the time. It's just surface level bullshit, no one cares. But taking 3 hours to explore characters that are this fucking shallow, it's just a waste of the audience's time. And there's plenty of surface level stuff wrong with the movie as well. There's this lady who only appears in like 2 scenes for half a second, and the movie expects me to give a shit when she gets shot. Gordon does nothing and is relegated basically to the role of buddy cop, only existing so he can banter with Batman.
Drive. Jesus.
And get Batman into police situations. Batman's suit makes him fucking indestructible, just evaporating any tension in fight scenes.
And in this moment, he's willing, in fact, if this kills him, to sacrifice himself. And in this moment, he's willing, in fact, if this kills him, to sacrifice himself. And
I wouldn't care about any of that if the Batman was interesting, but he's a shallow rich kid who's adopted the emo look. To me, this isn't really a movie. A movie stands on its own 2 feet and speaks a message truly, like it believes it. But the Batman flip-flops around like a fish out of water, continually tangling itself within itself to prevent you from seeing how vapid its actual substance is. What's the message of this movie? At the end, Batman says this:
Our scars can destroy us, even after the physical wounds have healed. But if we survive them, they can transform us. They can give us the power to endure and the strength to fight.
And my question is, should we let our scars transform us? Like they've transformed the Riddler and the Batman, who are clearly beacons of good mental health. So we go our entire fucking lives where the best we can hope for is just to survive and fight. Shouldn't we accept who we are and slowly work on healing those wounds so that we can be the person we've always been and the person we always will be underneath those scars? So we can move on and not let our scars become us. I get this is just Batman's viewpoint, but the movie glorifies it and doesn't offer any alternatives. It doesn't suggest that he's maybe wrong or thinking like a fucking 16-year-old emo. And it's especially fucked considering they're prepared to drop all this in a heartbeat when they want the Batman to not be transformed by his scars and just unequivocally good.
No.
Yeah, it feels like they wrote it because they thought it sounded cool, and no question, it does sound very cool. But being cool for the sake of looking cool is very uncool. This movie is as big and as beautiful as an ocean, but it is as deep as a puddle. It's acting, it's cinematography, it's CGI, it's production design, everything on a technical side is top notch, but the story and the characters are just vapid. And therefore this amazing cinematography and this amazing acting, this amazing production design is all in the service of nothing, and it's just kind of a shame, really.